Hey kids, it's the Mr. and Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the channel and another video on the brand new R1300 GS. I've had this bike for about a month now. I've actually been riding it for about 2 weeks, got a bit of a feel for the bike, and one or two things are starting to niggle me about the machine, and in this video I want to give you the top 5 things that I hate about the new R1300 GS. Alright, so let me just preface this video and this list of items that I don't like about the bike by saying the new GS is an absolutely stunning bike to ride. There's no doubt it's a brilliant bike. I mean, yes, you know, it's expensive and there are things I don't like about it and what have you, but from a riding perspective it is absolutely top notch. So what I'm not saying in this video is either that it's a rubbish bike or that I don't like it. What I'm saying is it's not perfect and there are some things about it that get on my nerves a bit, and those are the things that I'm going to list in this video today. So let's start with number 5, and that is this. The motorcycle has no dedicated rear light. It does of course have rear lights, but they're based on the indicators. So if I turn the machine on, I'll show you what I mean. So we bring her to life here, there we go, and then you'll see that the running lights are actually the indicators. Now they're relatively bright, but I just don't think that looks as good as having a proper central light. Now this of course is stopped from having a central light because you've got the big old radar block thing here, which means you can't have it there. So the running lights are the rear lights. If I then put the brake on, if I can do it while I'm holding the camera, you can see that when you put the brakes on, so that's brakes off, brakes on, brakes off, brakes on, it's not exactly that bright, is it? And then the other thing is the indicators as well. If I put the hazard lights on, if I come up here, pop the hazards on, here we go. That's what it looks like with the running lights and the hazard lights. It's not exactly that conspicuous. So, you know, I do wonder whether that sort of integrated lack of a rear tail light thing, if that makes sense, actually is a bit of a safety issue as well. Anyway, that's number 5 on the list of the top 5 things I don't like about the new R1300 GS. Alright, welcome back on board the bike for number 4 in the list of the top 5 things I hate about the new R1300 GS. And this is something that has been a quirk, been something that I've not liked about GSs for a long time. And I'd hoped that it might be fixed in this latest generation of the bike, but alas, it's not. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the clunky old gearbox and quick shifter on here. Now don't get me wrong, this has got the best gearbox and the best quick shifter of any GS that I've ever ridden, but it has to be said, as gearboxes and quick shifters go, it ain't silky smooth. It's still, dare I say it, a bit agricultural. So here I am, I'm just about to come into this 40-mile-an-hour zone. I'm in 3rd at the moment, so as I accelerate up I move into 4th. Actually that was relatively smooth as it was under load there going into 4th, but generally speaking up and down the box, if I just come down again, oh, it's gone to a false neutral, that's interesting. There we go. Right, let's give it a go. 2. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not the best quick shifter that I've ever come across. BMW have improved it, but at number 4 on my list, I'm afraid still, is the clunky old gearbox and quick shifter on the R1300 GS. Still not there, not as good as on some other bikes, it has to be said. Alrighty then, let's get to number 3 on my list, and it's Nationals, as Brucey would say. Number 3 on my list, the top 5 things I don't like about the R1300 GS, and that is the complicated switch gear. Not the switches itself on the handlebars, which are much the same as they've always been, but just the fact to get to stuff takes a bit of doing. So for example, it's a sort of, it's not particularly cold today, but it's not particularly hot either. I've got the heated grips on, and they're on 3, okay? On my GS, 1200, I've got a heated grips button, I could just turn them down. On this, I have to go into the menus to turn them down. Now I have set this button up here so that it's got the heated grips on. So in this case, I can select the grips. There we go, I've turned them down to 1. That was no great hassle. I can do the seat in the same way because I've programmed it onto this little button here. But that button can only take so many functions, in this case, the heat. So I want to put the screen down. Now I've got to go into the menus by hitting this hamburger button here. I then have to go down, look, I've got a heating selected at the moment. I then have to go down. If I can do that whilst trying to ride as well. I was just taking my eyes off the road there, so that's not good, is it? But let's just get back, concentrate on the riding a bit, where I then come back to the screen, to then come down to windscreen. It says action not possible. Oh, I have to use that one, there we go. So now I'm at windscreen. I'm still not concentrating properly on my riding. Let's come off here. Okay, I've selected windscreen, and now if I go over that way, I think, there we go, windscreen is now selected. It means I can use this button here to put the windscreen down, look. And there you can hear it's a bit noisier again. In fact, I'll leave it in the up position because it's quite effective in the up position, not so effective elsewhere. So anyway, number 3 on my list of the top 5 things I don't like about the new R1300 GS is just the fact you have to dig into these menus to set things up. And, well, I just don't like that. Alright, on to number 2 on the top 5 things that I hate about the new BMW R1300 GS then, and that is quite simply the looks of the bike. I think this latest incarnation has lost something about it. Now, of course, you can't win them all, can you? People said they wanted a smaller, lighter bike, so the bike has been made smaller and lighter, but in doing so, I think it's lost some of its road presence and its sort of masculine stance, something that appealed to me. I do think it looks quite handsome from the side still, nothing wrong with that, but when you come round to the front, you've got the you know, the elephant in the room, that bit that splits opinion, that front light and this radar area, and I really, as much as I try to, I really can't get to love the front of this. It looks like a Scottish flag or something going on. Not that I've got anything against the Scottish, but this big radar block thing here is ugly. Okay, when you have the screen down it covers it up a bit, but the screen needs to be in the up position to work properly. The star-shaped light just doesn't work for me, I'm afraid. So yeah, the overall looks of the bike, I think, isn't quite as good as it used to be, which is a bit of a shame. As I say, from the side, look, in this nice sunshine we've got today, it's quite a handsome looking bike. From the front, it suddenly goes ugly, and it's lost that sort of masculine off-roady sort of stance that I really liked about the bike before. So I'm afraid number 2 on my list of the things I don't like is the looks of the new bike. Thumbs down for that one. Okay, we're getting to the important one then now. What is the top thing that I don't like about the new R1300 GS? What is the one thing that I'd love to see BMW change about it? And that is quite an obvious one actually. That is the price and the way that BMW do the pricing on these. Now, it's not just BMW that do this. I mean, in the car world, all car manufacturers do this. In the bike world, it seems maybe BMW is slightly more guilty than all. But pricing wise, this is a very expensive bike. Yes, it's a premium bike with all sorts of features, but BMW say that you can get the new R1300 for something like 15.5 grand. I think that's the sort of headline number on the website, which in itself is a lot of money. You know, it's certainly not cheap, is it? But for that money, you only get the very base model, which doesn't have any of the fancy features that BMW have been saying we need the GS for. So, you know, you don't get the auto ride height lowering, you don't even get the radar cruise control for that. You get, you know, none of the bits that you actually want. So by the time you spec the bike up, it gets very expensive. I spec one up on the BMW website, on the configurator, and I spec one up which basically was pretty much like this one. It was the green Tramontana version, and I also had everything this has got on it, which is effectively a TE, so heated grips, electronic suspension and so on, and the radar cruise control and the blind spot monitoring. They're all the things that are new about the bike that I wanted, and I'd like the auto ride height. This one hasn't got that, but that's what I spec'd up, and it came out at nearly 24 grand. I mean, that's a lot of money for a motorcycle. It's a lot of money for anything. You can get a pretty good second-hand car for 24 grand. So, you know, I know other bikes are expensive. I know if you bought a Multistrada, it would cost you that sort of money probably as well. But, you know, how many people realistically can spend 24 grand on a motorcycle? I mean, it really is a rich man's sport, isn't it? So that forces you down the sort of higher route and getting yourself a loan, but you know, one that you rent on PCP, and that isn't for me. I like to actually own the bike. I like to research, keep a bike for many years, make it my own, and sort of get a bond with the bike. So yeah, I kind of blame PCP a bit for making bikes easily available that are otherwise too expensive to afford. And I'm not by any means having a go at anyone that uses PCP. I absolutely get that it works for lots of people. It's not for me personally, but it has the effect of pushing the prices up for everyone. I mean, this bike would have to be absolutely phenomenal, and I have to say it is very good indeed, but it'd have to be absolutely phenomenal for me to shell out that sort of money on it. Now, I've only, as I say, been riding the bike for a week, 2 weeks now, and I had it in my possession for a month, so I've got a lot more learning to do yet. I haven't quite got to grips with all the electronics and so on the bike. A lot more work to do. So I'm not drawing any conclusions, and please don't think that because I've been negative in this particular video that I'm negative about the whole bike. As I said at the start of the video, it is an absolutely amazing machine, so it should be for the price, but it rides beautifully. There are few other bikes that I've ever come across that ride as nice as this in terms of comfort, suspension, speed, even smoothness. In fact, this Boxer now is a really smooth engine. It's a very, very nice place indeed to be. So don't come away from this video with the impression that I don't like this bike. There's going to be a lot more videos coming on the channel about it, including a much more in-depth lessons learnt video that I'll do in probably, I don't know, about a month's time, when I've got a few more 100 miles or a few more 1,000 miles on the bike and I properly know it. And I'll go through not only more of the things that I don't like about the bike, there's quite a long list of things actually, of things that I don't like, many of which you already know. But I'll also go through the very long list of things that I do like about the bike. And I'm going to be going through stuff that you've asked me to take a look at as well. I've had quite a lot of feedback and comments asking can I look at particular things on the bike, so thank you for those. I will cover those off when I do the lessons learned video, which I think is the next one that will be coming along on the bike. So if there's anything you'd like to include in there, do put a comment below and I'll try and cover it off in that bike. Right, so that's it for now. That's my top 5 things I don't like about the BMW R1300 GS. Love to hear your thoughts, and if there's anything you think I've missed, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio.